Hey, it's Amy Wall, your energetic beauty guide on the journey of Radiance Reboot, the 21-day glow. And we are on day 9, which is epigenetics. Your environment is shaping you. So, for the last 2 days, we have been discussing our beauty story. We have been talking about how, setting up a beautiful sacred beauty space can really help increase, the pleasure that you feel when you're doing your skin. We've talked about that beauty is pleasure, not pain. And every single one of these classes, pretty much building up to today, is really talking about rewriting our perceptions of ourself, questioning the beliefs that we have held dear, near and dear, looking back at some of the things that have just been running us without our knowledge. And it all really comes back to a really exciting new field of science called epigenetics. Now, it is an emerging field. And of course, I'm not going to be able to take a deep dive in this short class, but what I want to share with you is a little bit about what epigenetics means, how it's working in your everyday life, and to turn the light on for you that how important our environment is. And for those of us with children, I have children. I have actually a 29-year-old son, and I am hoping to be a grandmother someday. So just know that every time we heal these beliefs that have been running in the background for potentially, many generations, we're literally healing our lineage backwards and forwards. The science says up to 7 generations. So this work slash play, these inquiries are really, really important and will have lasting effects on you and everybody around you. So Bruce Lipton is one of the pioneers of epigenetics, and he has a quote that I absolutely love. He says, "The moment that you change your perception, you rewrite the chemistry of your body." The moment you rewrite your perceptions, the moment that you change your perceptions, you rewrite the chemistry of your body. And that is just, that gives me so much excitement when I think about it, because when I talk about beauty magic, when I talk about the Beauty Magic Club, magic is around perception shifting. Magic is around being able to change your perception and have a whole new experience. In this case, of yourself, of the way you look, the way you feel to yourself and to other people. It's around rewriting your perceptions. So, epigenetics. The field of epigenetics tells us that it's not the gene that is the brain of the cell, it's the membrane. And what is a membrane? A membrane is a lipid bilayer, just like our skin, right? It's a semi-permeable barrier that lets some things in and keeps other things out. So the very membrane of the cell is what is changing some of the genetic code. So if you have an environment where you are exposed to a lot of stress, there are chemicals secreted and there are markers placed on the epigenome or the membrane, and that turns on or turns off genetic expression. That's the very most simple way I can explain it. And that's really all we need to dive into today, because it tells us that our beliefs about ourselves, it tells us that the environment that we surround ourselves with are ultra, ultra important. And really what I'm speaking to today is the biology of belief, which is, the field, a part of the field of epigenetics. But what we're really speaking to, and what I have been speaking to this entire first week, and we're going to start moving into some more practical, body applications of all of this. But what we're talking about are the invisible aspects of beauty. So the invisible aspects of beauty are driving us. And I think there's a quote that says, until we make the invisible visible, it will rule our life and we will call it fate. I think that's a Carl Jung quote. So the stakes are very high here. So if we are constantly in an environment of stress, if we're constantly in an environment that doesn't inspire us, if we're constantly in an environment of negativity, then that can potentially switch on and switch off gene expression. So of course, there is so much more to it. There's lots that you can find out on YouTube and deep dives. And I highly recommend the book, The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. This is this is the work that he has brought forth amongst many other scientists, but an exciting new discoveries that are happening right now behind the scenes is scientists think that they have found an aging clock that they can turn backwards, that they can reset up to 30 years backwards. And they do that on the epigenome. They're doing it right now with the chemical. But what about us creating our own chemicals, knowing that this is sort of uncharted waters, knowing that this is new science, knowing that we're on the leading edge? How can we turn on and turn off our aging clock with our own thoughts and beliefs and visualizations? That's what we're doing here. That is the secret to my glow. That is the secret to all of the cellular and spiritual energy that I'm able to radiate when I choose to. I don't have it turned on full time. I want to, maintain my energetic frequency and equanimity, mostly in the middle. But if I really want to dial it up, believe me, I can, because I have cultivated that ability. So how can we today tune into these invisible aspects of beauty? How can we acknowledge and appreciate the epigenome and consciously turn off the aging clock with our own thoughts and beliefs? Now, this kind of brings me to something like, I'm not actually anti-aging, and I'm actually not trying to say that we should live forever. But what I am here for, and what I am a proponent of, is cellular health and radiance, and slowing down the rate of cellular decay. So cellular decay is when you start seeing, the collagen and the elastin breakdown. I've actually had quite a bit of sun damage and collagen and elastin breakdown on my chest, just because I grew up in Mexico. I grew up in Hawaii. I live on the ocean right now in Mendocino. And so I have cellular decay in my chest. That's environmental, right? That is extrinsic. That's an extrinsic cause of aging. Now, there are intrinsic causes as well. There could be just how I had my genetics set from my grandmother and my, on both sides, and the genes that I inherited. But because I practice this environmental belief shaping, and I have been doing so for over 20 years, when I first started researching this stuff and first started diving into even the work of Candace Pert and the molecules of emotion and how I was responsible for turning on and turning off cellular processes. So that was just one example, but choose your own example. Choose an area that you see cellular decay, and then ask yourself, is there a story attached to it? Is there an environmental aspect attached to it? And is there a belief attached to it? Now, stories are not always beliefs, but stories can lead to beliefs. And that's why rewriting our beauty story and even just looking at it and kind of, mulling it over is so important. So I'm just doing a little energy process for you right now. Just allowing my words to wash over you like water through bricks, allowing the right idea to seep through. Just letting it be really easy, just knowing there's no rush to get any of this right. There's actually no right or wrong. These are just inquiries, and we're just looking at different facets of new science and seeing how we can bring it down to a really practical matter. So there's so much that we could dive into even more, and we certainly will at the deeper levels of my work. But for today, I want you to look around at your environment and see where you can shift and create a more loving environment for yourself. That is that sacred beauty space that I was talking about. Creating just an environment that is beneficial and nourishing to you. This isn't about only having positive thoughts and the power of positive thinking. It goes much beyond that. This is around how can we even work on the subconscious level by just having our whole environment support us in the actual vision that we have for ourselves and the vision that we have for our cells. Cells and cells, cells and cells. And how can we have our rituals become a rich well from which to draw new inspiration, new cellular, and new spiritual radiance? Does that sound good? Sounds good to me too. All right. So glasses on, and let me just I think we covered it today. I don't want to make it too complicated. But let's go back to how I started this. The moment we change our perception of ourselves is the moment we rewrite the chemistry of our body. Bruce Lipton. So if we want to have a more radiant chemistry, and when I say radiant, just hear energy, energetic chemistry. This isn't about a beauty standard from, the mainstream beauty complex, though there's a good chance, you'll fall into that just because that's just how it works. We're working on the inside. But the moment you rewrite your perception of yourself is the moment you rewrite the chemistry of your body. I think that that's just all we need to say for today. Just allow that to sort of work with you, mull it over, look at it from all of the different angles. Really think about it. Maybe go and check out the book, The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, and then get really excited because it means that we are not at the effect of our genes. I know we're all like obsessed with genetics, right? We're all obsessed with like what we inherited, and certainly the epigenetics can be inherited. That's the other thing. That's why this is so important. These genetic markers can be passed down, and they are passed down. So if you had a grandmother who had specific beliefs about herself that actually changed her epigenome, there's a good chance that you inherited that as well. So this has a ripple effect forwards and backwards. And where can you shift some of these beliefs? Where can you shift some of these perceptions that you've held around yourself and your cells? All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to dive into your lymph and all about your inner waters. See you then.